games in this tournament yet. She's playing her second-round match tonight, and it's also hard to believe that we could be saying, if she wins this championship, that it's her biggest championship of 2002 after all the Grand Slams the last few years.
It is pretty remarkable that Venus did not win a major, but she still had a fantastic year. She, for the first time, became #1 in the world in February. She committed herself to playing a full schedule, and that's the reason she won 7 tournaments. That's a lot of tournaments. #2 behind her sister, who has won 8. And she reached the 3 finals, losing to Serena, the French, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open. So by no means that she had a bad year, but I'm sure for her standards, she would like to end with a high-quality finish.
One of the things we spoke about going into this match was the importance of Venus Williams' second serve. That was one of the things that Seles really climbed on back in January down in Melbourne. So we'll see how that matchup goes. Monica Seles just is coming off an amazing match the other day with Lindsay Davenport. Very seldom do you see somebody win after being down 7 match points. And we're going to have a look at some of the match points and the ferocity that Monica Seles plays those big points.
It was one of the greatest comebacks ever. I mean, we did not give Monica Seles a chance when she was down first a set in 3 love, and then to face 7 match points. This is the first match point. She showed courage. She came into the net. I think if Davenport looks back, she had a pretty easy passing shot on that one. But after that match point, look at Seles going for the lines, hitting deeper in the court. She always took the initiative, never played defense when she was down match point. She's such a great competitor, Monica Seles. She's been a great champion, and she's never out. You always have to count on Monica Seles giving 110%.
There's one more match point after this 7 total, and it must have been devastating for Lindsay Davenport to lose this opportunity. For Monica Seles, she needs to go into this match with that same feeling, that desperate feeling, and find the sidelines.
Exactly. She's got to start from the beginning, going for broke. She cannot be anywhere near tentative as she was in the beginning with Davenport. She's worked hard, she's trimmer, moving a little bit faster, and I think she believes she can do it. She did it in Australia, and after beating Davenport, who knows what can happen.
And then you said she's never out, and she never is. The heart of this veteran, I suppose, is just terrific to see. So we have a marquee matchup. This young lady, who was the first one to show the world of tennis power off both sides, Monica Seles, against Venus Williams. Next.
Well, of course, her sister has that ranking. You have to wonder, why was this year different for Venus Williams? Why did your sister dominate? What's going on?
I think I can play well, and I know how to win the matches, and I can get out there and make it happen, but I don't think I put all the work in that I should have. But everyone has to have a break. Not one person can do it all the time, and the competition level is a lot different than what it used to be years and years ago, when there'd be one player dominating. Now there's a lot of players who can get out there and play well and eventually win.
Still was the year where she got to that #1 ranking for the very first time, because she is playing more in 2002, but somebody else is playing more too. Her name is Serena.
That's exactly right.
Feel like she should have been #1 before, don't you, having won Wimbledon twice, US Open twice.
Yeah, that's right. But she always was playing like 10, 12 events, whereas Monica Seles, when she's healthy, she likes to play a lot. We've seen her, even in the last couple of years, sometimes play 5, 6 weeks out of 7.
If she's playing well, she does like to play a lot. She has not played a lot this fall as well. But look, she's got a great record, very consistent, only lost once before the quarterfinals, and that was in Charleston. She had a bad loss to Stephanie Foret of France. But she's ranked inside the top 10. She's been relatively healthy, and that's the most important thing for Monica Seles. She can work hard and fit. Because if she's healthy, she can put the time on the court and off the court with a trainer to work on her movement and work on her conditioning.
Well, Monica only has defeated Venus Williams once. She's lost to her every other time. So we had to ask her, what about playing this 6'1" American?
Well, I'm very excited to play Venus. I mean, she's a top player. She has got, I think, to almost all the finals this year at the Grand Slams. Won against her and lost twice against her. I think she likes playing indoors. Her serve is going to be one of the key components to the match.
I think Monica's hoping that Venus will miss a lot of first serves so she can get a crack at the second serve. They played only in Grand Slams. Every quarterfinal, Australia, the French, at the US Open. Venus winning that last one fairly easily.
Seles is going to start off serving.
Davis takes on Kim Kleisters of Belgium, who played a very good match this afternoon. The match wasn't great, but her win was very authoritative.
So was that first point by Seles.
All.
Venus has not lost to too many players this year, besides her sister, Monica in Australia, Maleva in Moscow, Kleisters in Hamburg, and Testude in, I believe, Dubai.
Sandrine Testude slips in there with some good wins sometimes, doesn't she? Hey, there's a key for Seles. Get some free points. We know Venus is going to get some on the big first serve.
Game point, Seles.
Serve for Seles. She started off the year at the Australian Open and had her best major of the year, and the win in the quarterfinals over Venus really stood out.
And she won 2 tournaments, one in Doha and Madrid, 52 and 53 in her career. In the Grand Slam, she got to the quarters or better. Semis of the Australian Open, the quarters of the rest, and so consistent. Semifinals, almost every single tournament. What a great year, a consistent year.
14 of 15. I mean, those are outrageous numbers, and that's a quality finish. Of course, his quarterfinals are better, and most of those were semifinals. Awful lot of semifinals and finals, except for those majors where she struck up against Venus.
Seles losing to Martina Hingis in the semis of Australia. 3 sets.
One of 2 players unable to make it to the starting line here because of injuries. Hingis was actually here earlier in the week fulfilling some PR obligations.
I wonder if anybody has researched whether Monica Seles has ever come back from 7 match points down before.
She's come back from 6 match points down. That was to Serena Williams last year in Manhattan Beach in the quarterfinals.
Now, we've been critical that sometimes Seles stands too close to the baseline, but guess what? That is a 113, and she anticipates it. It's not located that close to the tee. So that is an advantage to Seles. You can say she hopped to her left. Total anticipation by Seles. And she was on that serve, too.
That's right, and I was talking to Mike Sell, Monica's coach, before the match, and he told her, listen, if you're not returning well and you're not timing it well, take a few steps back. He says, I try to tell her all the time against the big players, adjust. He goes, she's just so stubborn because she's such a great returner. She's used to standing on the line.
Andre Agassi was one who was very stubborn about that, but this year you've seen him try to make that move.
Now, one thing we're going to look for all match long is if Seles can locate the sideline. Look at that, absolutely perfect.
Williams holds on, and we are even. 1 apiece first set.
Good start for both players on serve.
But a good sense of humor, Venus. When you spoke to her before the tournament started, you said, well, what do you think you can improve, Venus? She said, remember? She said, well, my speed, my serve, my consistency. And then she thought about my backhand and my volleys.
I'm sure the rest of the players love to hear that.
Well, and Serena was pretty tough on herself last night because she felt she committed too many unforced errors. She only lost 4 games in the match, defeating Smash Nova.
Here's Richard, and Venus says that he calls him a tennis revolutionary. If I listen to my dad, she said, I might never lose. But a lot of respect for him as a coach and obviously as a father.
Another thing Mike Seles told me before the match is that Monica, last time they played, picked on the Venus Williams forehand from the beginning of the match. And today she was going to try to do it on the big points.
Smart.
Game point.
Don't play in the weakness.
Sometimes you get into a groove if somebody plays your weakness too often.
Sometimes you can break it down. Have to get a feel for it on the day.
These are important points for Seles, not to let this 40-15 game get back to deuce.
So she does. 2-1 first set.
Up against Seles under the lights at Laver Arena, and Venus Williams won the first set, and then Monica Seles was able to turn it around because she could find the sideline, something that she's going to need to do tonight.
And you could see in the Seles eye the determination she had when she played Venus. She had never beaten her before. Mike Seles getting very pumped. She went after her shot, she stayed aggressive, and she never gave up.
It's always tough to have your first win over a top player when you're 0 for 6 or 0 for 7, and this was that monumental match for Seles. Even though she's lost 2 straight, she goes into a match like tonight, big occasion, year-end championships with some belief.
Exactly. Just to have that one win makes all the difference in the world.
The 10-month race for the Tour season-ending Home Depot Championships presented by Porsche has come down to this week and a Monday night primetime final. 16 players showed. 8 started today.
Well, there's one of my heroes. Mentioned Johnny Unitas the other day, growing up in Baltimore. Frank Robinson playing the outfield. Brooks Robinson, third base. Orioles won a couple of world championships. Did a great job in Montreal managing this year. Of course, hit over 500 home runs. All right, enough on Frank Robinson.
Good first serve by Venus Williams. Monica doing a good job of just reaching and getting the angle. Just a couple strides from Venus Williams to track it down.
14-15.
It's huge. 111.
After her first round win, she said that her second serve was pretty good. Venus.
Something she can work on.
Good ducking by Monica.
You know, I was thinking about technique, Pam, when I said that. And as you look at this overhead here, that one goes wild. But the only really vulnerable part of Venus's game, I think, as she takes the duck, is her second serve.
Sorry, Cliff, I wasn't listening to the end of your sentence there. I was
Okay.
watching that duck. The second serve.
Yeah, is the only vulnerable part of Venus.
Right there, the overhead looked a little vulnerable.
I wish Venus's forehand was a little bit more solid.
There it is. Speak of the second serve.
So important for Venus to keep that left hand up, get good extension.
Actually, one of the reasons she misses overheads is because she collapses with that left side. It's the same flaw. Keep an eye on that left hand.
Advantage Williams.
So smart on the court. She knew she couldn't cover the cross court. She didn't have enough time, so she did a little face and stayed.
And then it wasn't easy to come up with this pass. She went for the angle, took a little bit off of it. Not easy to pass Venus at the net.
And there's the forehand. So Seles has won points by hitting a good lob during this game, hitting the passing shot cross court, forced the error on the forehand, and now suddenly she's got a break point.
First of the match for either player.
And Seles.
A wild second serve. And we have a break of serve here. We want you to tune in tomorrow again, ESPN 2 at 4 Eastern. Jennifer Capriati, Magdalena Maleva live quarterfinal match. Now coverage of the Home Depot Championships presented by Porsche continuing tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, out here on the West Coast with Serena Williams and Jelena Dokic.
Well, Seles has to be delighted she's got an early break. She didn't have a break point against Davenport until the second set when she was down 3-1.
Home Depot presented by Porsche
Love 15.
is what you're watching here. Third day.
Seles really wanted this call. She looked down the sideline, and you can see why she wanted it. This may be.
Looks
This
like it
may
just
be.
hit.
This may be.
The first mistake linesman makes.
I had a hard time making that call with a help a shot spot. Certainly can't overrule. The guy who runs shot spot can't even figure out if that was in or out. And you figure every so often there's going to be a ball that lands just that close. Can't tell.
7 unforced errors from Venus, the majority on the forehand side.
Well, both with a couple of double faults. And I actually think it's okay in the case of Seles to gamble some with the second serve. I think it helps her overall aggressive attitude. Toss a bit off there.
Too far behind her. big miss.
Yeah, there's rust in her game, and she hasn't played that much since the Open, she said, and admitted that she hasn't worked really hard as Father Richard watches the last few weeks.
Played a lefty in her first round, Patty Schnyder. Unusual to play. The only two lefties in the field. Back-to-back matches. Not that Patty Schnyder and Seles play a lot alike.
Venus said after that match that she was generally happy with the game, but she felt like when she came in, she did well, and she was going to come in more in this match.
Well, she's come in 6 times so far in this match, 50% success rate.
Forehand of the night for Venus. When Venus keeps her head down and accelerates through the ball, so much better.
And the ball is right in the center of the court for Venus to hit, and hit the microphone pretty nicely at the back of the court.
Break point.
Williams in these tough baseline rallies and footwork-wise, positioning-wise, can stay neutral in the rallies. She is the better, consistent, heavy baseline player.
And she's worked so hard the last 5 weeks on her fitness, on her movement. You can tell she's a step quicker, I believe, than she was at the U.S. Open. And it makes all the difference when you're playing a power player like Venus. Forehand. That's the weaker side. That's the side that can break down. You see the unforced errors. 5 off the forehand, 2 off the backhand, couple on the serve.
I think the volley was probably that overhead. She missed way long.
Game point. Cell phone break.
Seles, in spite of a break point, holds on. Venus Williams, too many unforced errors. She's down 4-1. She's frustrated.
Circle back to
Here, Pam Shriver, Mary Jo Fernandez, early stages, but a break and a big lead for Seles.
A big lead, but still only 1 break lead that can just evaporate so quickly when you get someone like Venus Williams who can just hit stride in a hurry.
You two were talking about when they both at the baseline that Seles is having a good night so far. Very good percentages here.
Well, not so good on first serve conversions, which is what I think is really important for Seles, to hang in there on the first serve. A lot of times Venus Williams, when she serves 75%, she wins at least 75% on the first serve, but she's at 50% because
Seles is on the serve. Look at that great return. She's anticipating the correct serve. She's making Venus play, and sometimes when she anticipates correctly and times it well, she's hitting winners, Monica Seles.
40-15. Well, my point was going to be that the first strike is so important for Monica Seles.
hard to have a first strike on that serve.
Game point.
Seles serving for 5-2 now. It's exactly the start Monica Seles wanted.
She fought off a break point in her previous service game. Important to keep this break lead.
A fantastic slice changeup by Seles. You don't see that very often.
No, but she can do it, and she actually has a good drop shot as well.
You see her go to the one-handed forehand a lot when she's running out wide, but that one was right in the middle of the court, and she just chose to do a slice side spin.
Inside out. It went away from Venus Williams. It stayed very low. Forced Venus Williams to generate her own pace.
Another double fall, but let's take a look at that sliced forehand. She goes with a one-hander, and it's going to really come across the ball. Just watch that racket face swipe across it. That is extraordinary, and that threw off Venus Williams, forced the error.
15-all. High backhand volley, tough shot, but she is tall and athletic. Watch.
Look at this great movement, great reactions from Venus.
Hitting a backhand from almost in the doubles alley with her feet, and then this high backhand volley lands in, but Seles had a chance at the pass. I just think the pressure of knowing you've got very few gaps.
Very few chances means that you have to play high-risk tennis. And this is 15-40 break points for Williams.
We'll remember that pass, that attempted pass, and the volley that landed in. Would have been 30-15 Seles instead of 15-30.
Oh.
Seles got a little angry when she lost those 2 points in a row, and this point has a bit of anger in it.
Got a great angle from the middle of the court. Not easy to come up with that angle. She stays so low.
She's still angry. She's mouthing something there.
That one sails, and the break back for Venus Williams. We're on serve now in the first set.